So don't give up on your garden. You can absolutely save it when things are going wrong. Look at that. I've got peppers finally that have come in. This, dun dun dun, is a gopher. And I am so glad he did not make it into my bed because I put hardware cloth underneath these. These are red running beans and they are actually flowering, which means I'm gonna have beans. How exciting, another squash finally. So yeah, things are starting to flower. Good morning, Harvesting Heritage. This is Channing and I'm back in my garden. Well, actually today I'm back in my greenhouse. It's mid-August and we've had a hard go of our garden so far this year, our raised garden. I told you about my nitrogen deficiency and we've been regularly putting our Miracle Grow and our Agro Thrive and doing a lot of bone meal fertilization just to try to bring our nitrogen back up, and it seems to be working. I think I may get tomatoes at least this year. But you know what? I was thinking, and I've seen on YouTube a lot of people reminding me that we still have fall. So there are a lot of different veggies that I can still harvest. And luckily, I live in California in the Bay Area, kind of in a coastal zone 9B, which means typically I don't even see my first frost, and certainly not my first killing frost, until Thanksgiving. So I have a ton of time still to get seeds started and to direct sow in the garden. I found a really great resource from Botanical Interests. In their catalog, they have this cutout page that just kind of easily tears out, and it tells you your outdoor sowing guide and indoor sowing guide. So whether you start the seeds indoor or you can put them directly into the ground. And it tells you, I've used it for spring, whether I need to start something 14 or 16 weeks in advance, if I need to start them 4 weeks in advance for my spring crops, but I never paid attention. They also include when you should start things or sow things for your fall garden. So I wanted to share that with you. And another thing, if you're interested in flowers, they include an entire flower and ornamental section, as well as just herbs and vegetables. So what do they have for 3 to 4 months before the first frost of the year for you? Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, celery, collards, endive, kale, parsnip, peas, and rutabaga. 1 to 2 months, and that's kind of where I am. 1 to 2 months. You would want to do fava beans, radicchio, radishes can continue to be put in. You could even get artichokes, Chinese broccoli, onions, sorrel. So all of those things are things I can put in my garden now or start now. And I'm definitely going to get a harvest, at least something. You only get what you put in. If you never sow it, you're definitely never getting it. For my indoor sowing guide, what I would actually start, and likely it's a little warm in this greenhouse during the day to have these start successfully, but I can bring one tray of goodies into my house, make sure they get enough light, and have these ready to be actually planted in a month. So what can we do 2 to 3 months before? We're going to do our head cabbage, our Napa cabbages, celery, kale, kohlrabi, short day onions. I could do that in 9B. You could be putting out potato seeds, starting those. That's interesting. Radicchio, and then I can even get my Brussels sprouts and cauliflowers. So I'm excited that I found this list. I have the energy and I'm excited to get in the garden. We first need to harvest a few things and remove a few plants. I know I still have my carrots in that I planted back in February. They're not going to be as sweet, but they're definitely going to be great for some of my canning projects. Like I know I need chicken broth. They would be fine if they were fully canned. They get a little mushy anyway, so they'll be great in soups and stews. I have my broccoli from the spring that I have a little bit of shoots still coming out, so I'm going to remove those plants. So I have a couple of beds that are totally empty. A few more kohlrabi, those did grow this year, which is great, that I can harvest. And then I also, as I'm looking out on my raised beds, I think I already used one of my empty beds to put in some green beans. About 2 weeks ago, I had a 60-day, here I had red swan bush beans, because I hadn't gotten any beans this year, and I really wanted to can green beans. I like those quite a bit. But these should actually grow. I put them in 2 weeks ago, so the beginning of August. And they should give me beans still. So I'm hopeful that that work that I did a couple weeks ago will deliver some great green beans before our frost hits. Let me show you what I've selected to get planted or started today. I have all my seed packages selected and sitting next to me. They are all cool weather, and most of these actually get more tender, more sweet if they get a frost. So I think even in a 9B, you could start these things another couple weeks out. Oh, and one thing I do know, I'm going to take a quick trip to the Petaluma Seed Bank, which is downtown near me. They sell Baker Creek seeds, or which you can find on rareseeds.com. Down there, I really want those big snow peas, and I can direct sow those right now as well. I just have snap peas, which are smaller and get full-size peas inside, which are still sweet to eat the whole thing, but I've seen online just these very interesting snow peas that I haven't tried before. So we're gonna go get those, but let me show you what I've got. So here's stepping back and seeing the full varieties. I'm gonna start some shisho, which is great for any of our Japanese meals. It's an herb, has a very different flavor than anything I could explain it to be. I still have not been successful at getting sage growing. I think I need to put sage in its own bucket, so I'm gonna pot up some sage. We can direct seed this Bloomsdale long-standing spinach. I have not gotten a lot of parsley, so I'm going to try to see if I might get a little bit of parsley. I love rutabagas. We're going to try the American purple top rutabaga. These are great roasted and smashed like mashed potatoes. Brussels sprouts. This one promises, I won't even try to say that word, but it promises to be ideal choice for first timers, and I've never gotten Brussels sprouts to bulb or grow, so that is new. These bok choys are so tender and delicious. This is the kohlrabi that my grandma recommended and loves, that giant white, and they have done great in my garden, so I want to put some more in of those. We're going to try this funny looking cauliflower that again, I won't try to say the name. Some additional kale. These are great. My favorite type of kale, Blue Ridge kale, for those like sausage soup in the winter. Fun looking Calibos cabbage. I have heart shaped. A few watermelon radishes. I am going to try to get a little bit of celery growing this winter so that I have it for my stalks. Gonna do some traditional orange carrots. Today the carrots we're taking out are purple on the outside, orange on the inside. So we're gonna try long Imperator and Danvers 126, kind of traditional. Just a little bit of Chinese cabbage and green sprouting broccoli. So this is exciting. I know that I'm gonna get a lot of harvest out of this. Certainly enough to feed Sean and me, and we're gonna get to work. I can give you a little tour and show you just 2 weeks of fertilizing. The squash is definitely more green. I have actual fruit coming on the vine. Those are those honey nut, butternut squash. My tomatoes have bushed out and are green and flowering now. So yeah, the fertilizer seems to be working. These are my gourds. They've finally come up and they're green and lush. The carrots that we're gonna take out today. See, they're starting to flower, so I know I've waited too long. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, that's fantastic. That is a great carrot. I think I have purple ones over here. I do. Here's that purple one. Oh, see, they're cracking. Definitely time to get those out of the garden. Over here is my strawberries. We still have strawberries coming on. We'll have a ton to pick. They're getting smaller though. Corn is growing up. We've reseeded a couple of times. You see I have a gopher who's come to visit. We're trying to work on catching him. I have squash finally. They're so tender, and look how green these are now. Cilantro and watermelon coming up. Salad, basil even that we can start to harvest on. Oh, how exciting. Another squash finally. So yeah, things are starting to flower. I think I'll just pull out things that look like they're still struggling. There's no point in keeping them in. Here's where I put all those beans. I've got a cabbage ready to come out. These are the kohlrabis that are still growing. These are red running beans, and they are actually flowering, which means I'm gonna have beans. So don't give up on your garden. You can absolutely save it when things are going wrong. Look at that. I've got peppers finally that have come in. Lots of basil. I even have a tomato. Big tomatoes, but they've gotten better at the top. Here's the broccoli. I have a couple pieces I can pull. Otherwise, I'm going to clear this whole bed and get it planted. And this, dun dun dun, is a gopher. And I am so glad he did not make it into my bed because I put hardware cloth underneath these. So he couldn't find his way out. Got a little mess to clean up, but that's okay as long as he's not in my beds. We're gonna check out these tomato plants too. I've seen a tomato hornworm around and I do not want to lose them. I think the tomatillos are gonna come out this year. Not a great tomatillo harvest for me. I probably will only get a couple cans of green sauce. However, last year was fabulous and I still have a ton there. So it's fine. Overabundance in one year covers for a bad year. I might get peppers. See, these are those weak ones. They've grown 2 times the size since the last time I showed you, and they're starting to flower. So yeah, that's the garden. I'm just gonna get to work on these seeds.